Welcome, dear traveler. Tonight we leave the modern world behind and journey back more than 700 years to a quiet village in medieval England. There are no glowing cities beyond the hills, no electric lights, no rumble of engines, no hurried footsteps, only peaceful countryside, endless fields, and a world that wakes with the rising sun. Before we begin, make yourself comfortable. Take a slow, deep breath. Allow your mind to become still. Imagine standing upon a narrow dirt path. The earth beneath your boots is cool and damp with the night's dew. The air is crisp and wonderfully fresh. A gentle breeze moves quietly through the tall grass, carrying the scent of wet soil, ancient oak trees, and the faint smell of wood smoke from distant cottages. Above you, thousands of stars still shine across the dark blue sky. The moon hangs low over the western hills, casting a pale silver light across the sleeping countryside. Everything feels calm. Everything feels slow. In the distance, rolling green hills disappear into the morning mist. Old forests stand silently along the horizon. They have watched generations of villagers live, work, and grow old beneath their branches. For a long moment, the world remains perfectly quiet. Then, a rooster calls from somewhere beyond the fields. Its voice echoes gently through the valley. Soon another answers, then another. The peaceful silence slowly begins to change. Small birds awaken among the hedgerows. An owl quietly disappears toward the dark forest after its final hunt of the night. Nature itself is preparing for another day. As you continue walking, your footsteps leave gentle marks upon the soft earth. Tiny drops of dew sparkle upon every blade of grass. Wildflowers line the narrow path. White daisies, yellow buttercups, purple foxgloves. Each one shines beneath the fading moonlight like tiny jewels. Nearby, a small stream flows beneath an old stone bridge. The water moves quietly over smooth rocks, reflecting the first soft colors of the coming sunrise. The eastern sky slowly changes. Deep blue becomes purple. Purple becomes soft pink. Hints of warm gold begin to appear above the distant hills. A new day is almost here. You climb a gentle hill overlooking the village. Below, around 20 small cottages rest peacefully together. Their thick thatched roofs glisten with morning dew. No smoke yet rises from the chimneys. Most families are still asleep. The village waits patiently for the first light of dawn. And as you stand quietly above this peaceful scene, you realize that in medieval England, every day begins not with alarm clocks or busy roads, but with the gentle rhythm of nature itself. As the first rays of sunlight slowly spread across the countryside, the peaceful village begins to stir from its night's rest. One cottage door creaks open. An elderly farmer steps quietly outside, wrapping a thick wool cloak around his shoulders to protect himself from the cool morning air. He pauses for a moment, not because he is in a hurry, but because this quiet moment before the day's labor begins is one of the few peaceful moments he will have. He looks across the fields, stretching toward the distant hills. Soon those fields will be filled with the sounds of wooden plows, hard-working oxen, and families working side by side. But for now, everything remains calm. Nearby, a young woman kneels beside a small pile of firewood, stacked carefully against the wall of her cottage. She gathers several dry branches into her arms before stepping back inside. Within moments, a faint ribbon of gray smoke rises from the chimney above. One by one, other cottages do the same. Across the village, tiny streams of smoke slowly climb into the cool morning sky. The village is waking. From inside another cottage comes the soft sound of children whispering as they slowly climb from their straw-filled beds. There are no soft mattresses, no warm electric blankets, only simple wooden beds covered with rough wool blankets. Yet after long days of physical work, sleep comes easily. Outside, a pair of oxen wait patiently beside a wooden fence. Their breath forms small clouds in the chilly morning air. A farmer gently pats one of them before checking the heavy wooden plow resting nearby. These animals are among the village's most valuable helpers. Without their strength, turning the hard soil would take far longer. A few chickens hop down from their wooden perch and begin searching for seeds among the damp grass. A village dog stretches lazily before wandering down the muddy lane. Life returns gradually, without noise, without rush. Everything follows the same quiet rhythm that has guided this village for generations. As you continue your walk, you notice how every cottage looks slightly different. Some are newer. Others lean gently after many decades of wind and rain. Most are built from timber frames, filled with woven branches and packed earth. Their thick thatched roofs protect families from heavy rain and cold winters. They are humble homes, but they are built with skill, patience, and the resources the land provides. The golden sunlight now reaches the tops of the trees. Long shadows stretch across the fields before slowly fading away. The morning mist begins to disappear. The countryside reveals itself in beautiful detail. Rolling green fields, ancient oak trees, wooden fences, narrow dirt paths connecting each home. It is a simple world, yet there is beauty in its simplicity. You pause beside a small wooden gate and take one final look across the peaceful village. Soon, every family will begin its daily routine. Bread will bake beside glowing hearths. Tools will be lifted onto tired shoulders. The fields will fill with workers. Children will help their parents with small but important tasks. Life here is demanding, but it is also deeply connected to nature. The rising sun tells people when to wake. The changing seasons decide what work must be done. The weather often determines whether a family will enjoy a comfortable winter or struggle to survive until spring. As church bells ring softly in the far distance, the village is now fully awake. Smoke curls lazily above every rooftop. Birdsong fills the fresh morning air. The smell of burning oak wood drifts gently through the streets. The day has truly begun. You smile quietly as you make your way toward one of the humble cottages near the center of the village. Inside, a family is preparing its first meal of the day. A simple breakfast awaits. And in the next chapter, we will step inside a medieval cottage to discover what daily family life was really like in medieval England. Welcome once again, dear traveler. The cool morning air still lingers outside as you leave the narrow village path and walk toward one of the small cottages resting near the edge of the settlement. From a distance, the house appears humble. Its thick thatched roof, carefully woven from bundles of straw, has protected the family from rain and winter winds for many years. The walls are built using sturdy oak beams, filled with woven branches and coated in a mixture of clay, mud, and straw. It is a simple building, yet for the people who live here, it is far more than a house. It is their entire world. As you approach the heavy wooden door, you notice there is no metal handle, only a simple iron latch forged by the village blacksmith. The rough oak surface bears countless scratches from years of daily use. You gently push the door open. It creaks softly upon its wooden hinges. Immediately, a wave of gentle warmth greets you. The warmth comes from a glowing hearth, burning quietly in the center of the cottage. Unlike modern homes with many separate rooms, this cottage consists of only one main living space. Every part of family life happens here. Cooking, eating, working, sleeping, talking, resting. Everything shares this single room. Your eyes slowly adjust to the dim light. The only sunlight enters through two tiny window openings, covered by simple wooden shutters. Glass windows are rare and expensive. Most ordinary families cannot afford such luxuries. Instead, daylight gently filters through the narrow openings, filling the room with soft, golden light. Tiny particles of smoke drift lazily through the air, dancing in the sunlight. The smell is unlike anything in the modern world. Fresh oak firewood, dry straw, warm bread, dried herbs, wool clothing. Everything blends together into a comforting scent that speaks of home. Your attention is drawn toward the hearth. It is not simply a fireplace. It is the heart of the cottage. A black iron pot hangs above glowing red embers. Inside, a simple porridge slowly bubbles for breakfast. Beside the fire rests a round loaf of dark barley bread, baked only yesterday. The gentle crackling of burning wood fills the quiet room with peaceful rhythm. Nearby stands a sturdy wooden table. Its surface is rough from years of use. There are no polished finishes, no fine decorations, only honest craftsmanship. Upon the table sit several handmade clay bowls, wooden spoons, and a small jug of fresh water collected from the village well. Every object inside this cottage has been made to last. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is unnecessary. Looking upward, you notice thick oak beams crossing beneath the roof. From them hang bundles of dried herbs, mint, sage, thyme, rosemary. Some will flavor meals. Others will be used as simple medicines during illness. Each bundle has been carefully tied by hand before drying in the warm air above the fire. Against one wall rests a large wooden chest. Inside are the family's few valuable possessions: extra clothing, wool blankets, important tools, perhaps a treasured family Bible, if they are fortunate enough to own one. Most families possess very little, but every item has meaning. Near the corner of the cottage, a straw mattress rests upon a simple wooden frame. It may not look comfortable by modern standards, yet after a full day working in the fields, sleep comes quickly. A thick wool blanket lies neatly folded across the bed. Nearby, a sleeping cat lazily opens one eye before curling back into a warm ball beside the fire. Outside, the village slowly grows louder. The sound of distant voices drifts through the tiny window. A rooster crows once again. Wooden cartwheels begin rolling across muddy roads. Another beautiful day has begun in medieval England. For a few quiet moments, you simply stand beside the hearth, listening to the gentle crackle of the fire. The warmth spreads slowly through the room, offering comfort against the cool morning air outside. It is easy to understand why the hearth is considered the heart of every medieval home. Without it, winter would be bitterly cold. Meals could not be prepared. Water could not be boiled. The family would struggle through the darkest months of the year. As you look around, you notice that every member of the household already has a purpose. The father kneels beside the doorway, carefully inspecting a wooden hoe and a simple iron-bladed spade. He runs his hand along each handle, checking for cracks before another long day in the fields. Good tools are valuable. Replacing one is neither quick nor inexpensive. Nearby, the mother gently stirs the pot hanging above the fire. Steam rises into the air as the morning porridge slowly thickens. Beside her rests a small basket containing onions, herbs, and yesterday's dark bread. The meal is simple, yet it will provide enough strength for the demanding work ahead. Two young children quietly begin their own morning chores. One gathers small pieces of firewood stacked neatly against the wall. The other fills a wooden bucket, preparing to fetch fresh water from the village well. Even at a young age, children are expected to help. Life in medieval England depends upon every pair of willing hands. Your attention turns toward the floor beneath your feet. It is not made of polished wood or smooth stone. Instead, it is hard-packed earth, carefully swept each day to keep it clean. Fresh rushes mixed with sweet-smelling herbs have been scattered across parts of the floor. They help reduce dust, soften footsteps, and leave a pleasant scent inside the cottage. Looking toward the ceiling once more, you notice faint beams of sunlight slipping through tiny gaps in the thatched roof. The roof is thick enough to keep out most rain, but from time to time it must be repaired. Keeping a cottage in good condition is never-ending work. Every season brings another task: a loose beam, a broken fence, a leaking roof. There is always something that needs attention. Outside, the village has fully awakened. Voices drift in through the open doorway. A blacksmith's hammer rings faintly in the distance. Oxen begin pulling heavy wooden plows toward the fields. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks happily as children laugh along the muddy lane. The quiet stillness of dawn has become the gentle rhythm of village life. Before leaving, you take one last slow look around this humble home. There are no expensive decorations, no luxurious furniture, no unnecessary possessions. Yet there is something deeply comforting here. A family that works together, a warm fire, fresh bread, simple tools, a roof overhead. In many ways, true wealth is measured not by what fills the room, but by the security and companionship found within these modest walls. The mother places several wooden bowls upon the table. The delicious aroma of warm porridge fills the cottage. The family slowly gathers together before beginning another long day's work. You quietly take your place near the table, grateful to witness this peaceful morning ritual. In the next chapter, we will share a simple medieval breakfast and discover what ordinary people truly ate each morning to prepare for the long hours of labor waiting beyond their cottage door.
Welcome back, dear traveler. The warmth of the cottage surrounds you as you quietly take a seat at the rough wooden table. Outside, the village has fully awakened. The sound of roosters has faded, replaced by the distant creak of wooden cartwheels and the quiet voices of neighbors beginning another day's work. Inside the cottage, however, there is still a peaceful calm. The family gathers together before leaving for the fields. Breakfast is ready. Unlike the large breakfasts many people enjoy today, a medieval morning meal is simple. Every ingredient has been grown, gathered, or made by hand. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is taken for granted. The mother carefully lifts the heavy iron pot from above the glowing hearth. Warm steam rises into the air, carrying the comforting aroma of freshly cooked porridge. She slowly pours the thick mixture into several handmade clay bowls. The porridge has been prepared using oats grown in nearby fields. Sometimes barley is used instead. The texture is thick and filling, designed to provide enough energy for long hours of physical labor. There is no refined sugar, no chocolate, no coffee. Instead, the gentle sweetness comes from a small spoonful of local honey when the family is fortunate enough to have it. Most mornings, however, the porridge is eaten exactly as it is: simple, warm, nutritious. Beside each bowl rests a slice of dark bread. Unlike the soft white bread found in modern bakeries, this loaf is dense and heavy. Made from barley or rye, it requires patience to bake and strength to chew. Yet it is one of the most important foods in medieval England. Bread accompanies nearly every meal. A small piece of hard cheese is placed onto the table. It was made weeks earlier from the milk of the family's cow or goat. Properly stored, it can last for many weeks, making it a valuable source of food throughout the year. Nearby sits a small wooden bowl filled with freshly gathered onions. Another contains herbs picked from the garden outside. Though simple, these ingredients add welcome flavor to everyday meals. Fresh butter is rare for ordinary families. Meat is even rarer. Most villagers save meat for festivals, special celebrations, or important religious holidays. On ordinary mornings like this one, bread and porridge are more than enough. The father quietly bows his head for a brief prayer of thanks. The family follows. Each meal is a reminder that a successful harvest can never be taken for granted. Good weather, healthy crops, strong animals. Each one plays a part in whether food will remain on this table through the coming winter. As breakfast begins, conversation is gentle and unhurried. The children speak softly about today's chores. The father discusses which field will be plowed first. The mother reminds everyone to return before sunset. Outside, the sound of an ox softly lowing drifts through the open doorway. The day is waiting. But for these few peaceful minutes, the family simply enjoys being together. The warm fire crackles quietly beside them. Sunlight filters through the tiny wooden shutters. The comforting smell of fresh bread and porridge fills the little cottage. It is a simple breakfast, yet it carries enough warmth and nourishment to begin another demanding day in medieval England. The simple meal is enjoyed slowly. There is no rush. In medieval England, breakfast is not a time for luxury or entertainment. It is a quiet moment of preparation before many hours of demanding work. As you lift a wooden spoon, the warm porridge is thick and comforting. It has been cooked carefully over the fire, stirred again and again to keep it from burning. The oats were harvested many months ago, ground by hand, stored carefully through the winter. Every bowl on the table represents weeks of hard work. Every bite reminds the family how precious food truly is. Beside the porridge, the dark loaf of bread is broken into thick slices. There are no neatly cut pieces, no polished knives. Each family member simply tears away what they need. Not a single crumb is wasted. Even the smallest piece of bread has value. If any remains, it will be saved for later in the day. Fresh water fills a simple clay jug placed in the middle of the table. Unlike today, people rarely drink sweet beverages. Clean water is carefully collected from the village well each morning. Sometimes adults drink weak ale instead, as it is often safer than untreated water and contains very little alcohol compared with modern beer. Children usually drink water or watered-down ale prepared specially for the family. As breakfast continues, the father quietly explains the day's work. One field must be plowed before the afternoon sun grows too warm. Another section of land needs new seed before the next rainfall arrives. The older children will help gather stones from the fields. The younger ones will collect eggs, feed the chickens, and bring fresh water back to the cottage. Everyone has a responsibility. No one is left without a task. The mother finishes her meal before standing to clean the wooden bowls. She wipes each one carefully with a cloth. Very little water is used for washing. Every bucket carried from the village well requires time and effort. Nothing is wasted. Outside, the village is now alive with activity. The sound of wooden cartwheels rolls along the muddy road. A blacksmith's hammer rings somewhere in the distance. Oxen begin pulling heavy plows toward the open fields. Smoke rises steadily from dozens of chimneys as families finish their own breakfasts. You step outside the cottage for a moment. The morning sun now shines brightly across the countryside. Golden light covers the fields. The cool mist has almost disappeared. Birds fly low over the hedgerows, searching for seeds and insects. The peaceful beauty of the landscape hides the reality of village life. Every season brings uncertainty. A poor harvest, too much rain, too little rain, an early frost. Any one of these could leave a family with too little food for winter. Perhaps that is why every meal is treated with such respect. Nothing on the table has come easily. Every loaf of bread, every bowl of porridge, every piece of cheese has been earned through patience, hard work, and cooperation. As the last bowls are emptied, the family quietly offers one final prayer of gratitude. The wooden stools are pushed back beneath the table. The tools waiting beside the door are lifted once more. The warmth of the cottage slowly fades behind you as the door opens to another busy day. The fresh country air fills your lungs. Ahead lies the wide open farmland where most medieval villagers will spend the rest of the day. The rhythm of work is about to begin, and in the next chapter, we will leave the comfort of the cottage behind and walk into the fields, where farmers, oxen, and generations of hard work shape the very foundation of medieval life. Welcome back, dear traveler. The simple breakfast is now behind you. The warmth of the cottage slowly fades as you step outside once again. A cool morning breeze greets your face, carrying the rich scent of damp earth, fresh grass, and wood smoke drifting gently from the village chimneys. The golden sun has climbed above the horizon, casting its soft light across the English countryside. Before you, the fields stretch endlessly toward distant rolling hills. These fields are more than patches of land. For every family in the village, they are the difference between comfort and hunger, between survival and hardship. You follow a narrow dirt path leading away from the cottages. Along the way, other villagers walk beside you. An elderly farmer carries a heavy wooden hoe across his shoulder. A young woman balances a woven basket filled with seed grain. Children hurry behind their parents, laughing quietly while carrying small wooden buckets and simple tools. Even the youngest members of the village have responsibilities. Everyone contributes. No task is considered too small. As you reach the open fields, the peaceful beauty of the countryside unfolds before your eyes. Long strips of farmland stretch across the landscape. Rather than being separated by fences, each family's land blends gently into the next, following traditions passed down through generations. The soil is dark, rich, and slightly damp from the cool night air. Nearby, two large oxen stand patiently beside a sturdy wooden plow. Their broad shoulders and calm expressions reveal years of faithful work. Unlike horses, oxen are slower, but their strength makes them invaluable for breaking the heavy English soil. A farmer gently fastens the wooden yoke across their shoulders. He speaks softly to the animals before giving a quiet command. Slowly, they begin to move. The wooden plow cuts deeply into the earth. Fresh soil rolls gently to either side. The rich smell of newly turned ground rises into the morning air. It is a scent every farmer knows well. A scent filled with hope. Hope for rain at the right time. Hope for warm sunshine. Hope that every seed planted today will become food for the coming winter. Behind the plow walks another villager carrying a leather seed bag. With practiced hands, he scatters grain across the freshly opened furrows. Each handful is carefully measured. Too much seed wastes valuable food. Too little leaves empty spaces where nothing will grow. Years of experience guide every movement. There are no machines, no engines, no tractors. Only steady hands, patient animals, and generations of knowledge passed from parents to children. A short distance away, several women kneel among young crops, carefully pulling weeds from the soil. They work quietly, their hands moving with remarkable speed. Every unwanted plant removed today allows the crops to grow stronger tomorrow. Nearby, children collect loose stones uncovered by the plow. They place them into woven baskets before carrying them to the edge of the field. Later, these stones may strengthen walls, repair muddy paths, or mark the borders of gardens. Nothing is wasted. Everything has a purpose. As the morning grows brighter, more villagers arrive. The fields slowly fill with quiet activity. From a distance, the village now seems peaceful and almost silent. But here, among the crops, life is filled with gentle movement. The slow footsteps of oxen, the scrape of wooden tools against the earth, the songs of birds circling overhead, the whisper of wind passing through young grain. Standing among the workers, you begin to understand something important. These fields are not simply where people work. They are where life begins. Every loaf of bread, every bowl of porridge, every meal shared around the family table starts here, beneath the open sky. As the morning hours quietly pass, the golden sunlight grows warmer. The cool breeze that greeted the dawn slowly fades, replaced by the gentle warmth of the late morning sun. Sweat begins to form beneath thick wool tunics. Hands become rough from gripping wooden handles. Backs ache after hours of bending over the soil. Yet no one complains. This is simply the rhythm of life. The oxen continue their slow journey across the fields. Step by steady step, they pull the heavy plow through the rich English earth. The farmer walks beside them with quiet patience, guiding each straight furrow with practiced skill. He knows every part of this land. He remembers where the soil is soft, where hidden stones lie beneath the surface, where last year's harvest grew strongest. Generations of knowledge live within his memory. Nearby, another family works together planting beans and peas. The mother carefully places each seed into the freshly opened ground. Her eldest daughter follows behind, gently covering each one with loose soil. Every seed is placed with hope. Not hope for wealth, but hope for enough food to carry the family safely through another winter. A little farther away, several boys chase noisy crows from the fields. The clever birds search constantly for freshly planted grain. With cheerful laughter, the children wave wooden sticks through the air. The crows rise into the sky before settling once again farther across the fields. Protecting the crops is another important task. Every handful of grain matters. As midday approaches, the pace of work finally begins to slow. The oxen are led toward the shade of a great oak tree. Farmers wipe the dust from their hands and stretch their tired backs. Families gather together beneath the cool branches. Lunch is simple: a piece of dark bread, a little cheese, perhaps an onion, maybe an apple if the season has been kind. Fresh water is shared carefully from wooden jugs brought from the village well. No one speaks very loudly. After hours of steady labor, the quiet rest feels almost as valuable as the food itself. Birdsong drifts gently across the countryside. A light breeze stirs the leaves overhead. For a few peaceful moments, the fields become wonderfully still. You sit quietly among the villagers, looking across the landscape. Golden fields ripple softly beneath the wind. Wildflowers bloom beside narrow paths. Bees move lazily from flower to flower. The scene is breathtakingly beautiful. Yet beneath that beauty lies endless hard work. Every healthy crop represents countless hours of effort. Every successful harvest depends upon weather beyond anyone's control. A single violent storm could flatten the grain. A long summer drought could dry the soil until nothing grows. An early frost could destroy months of careful work in only one cold night. Nature is both friend and master. No farmer can ever truly control it. When the short rest ends, the villagers quietly return to their tasks. The afternoon passes much like the morning: plowing, planting, weeding, carrying, repairing. The rhythm never changes. The work continues with calm determination. Slowly, the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon. Its bright light softens into warm shades of gold and amber. Long shadows once again stretch across the fields. The day's labor is finally coming to an end. The oxen are unharnessed and gently led back toward the village. Wooden tools are lifted onto tired shoulders. Families walk home together along the same narrow paths they followed at sunrise. You pause for one final look across the peaceful countryside. Freshly plowed earth glows beneath the evening light. The village stands quietly in the distance, thin streams of smoke rising from its cottages. It is a picture of peace. But you now understand the truth hidden within that peaceful view. Every meal, every warm fire, every comfortable night inside the cottage has been earned through patience, determination, and countless hours of honest work beneath the open sky. As you begin walking back toward the village, new sounds slowly replace the quiet fields. The ringing of a blacksmith's hammer, the laughter of children playing along muddy lanes, the voices of merchants arriving with their goods. Life continues beyond the farmland. And in the next chapter, we will leave the open fields behind and step into the busy heart of the medieval village, where craftsmen, traders, and neighbors work together to keep the community alive.
Welcome back, dear traveler. The day's work in the fields is finally behind you. The gentle sounds of nature slowly fade as you leave the open farmland and begin the peaceful walk back toward the village. The narrow dirt road winds between green meadows and small vegetable gardens. The warm afternoon sun casts long, golden rays across the countryside. In the distance, the familiar sight of thatched cottages comes into view. Thin streams of smoke rise lazily from their chimneys. The village is awake with quiet activity. As you pass through the first row of cottages, the atmosphere changes. Instead of the open silence of the fields, you hear the gentle sounds of everyday life. A wooden cart slowly rolls along the muddy road. Its old wheels creak with every turn. A farmer leads his tired oxen back toward their shelter. Nearby, several chickens wander freely between the cottages, scratching the ground in search of grain. A curious goose watches you carefully before waddling toward a nearby pond. Life here moves at its own peaceful rhythm. There is no rushing, no noisy machines, only the steady pace of ordinary people living together. The cottages stand close to one another. Their walls are built from heavy oak beams filled with woven branches and coated with clay and straw. The thick thatched roofs have protected generations of families from rain, wind, and winter snow. Many small gardens surround the homes. Rows of onions, cabbage, beans, herbs, and carrots grow wherever space allows. Every plant serves a purpose. Nothing is grown simply for decoration. Food is too valuable. As you continue walking, children play happily along the narrow lane. One boy rolls a wooden hoop with a stick. Two girls laugh while skipping with a simple rope made from twisted hemp. Their toys are handmade, simple, but they bring endless joy. An elderly woman smiles as she watches them from a wooden bench outside her cottage. Not far away, a village dog stretches lazily beneath the warm sunlight. The peaceful barking of another dog echoes somewhere farther down the street. Soon you arrive at the village well. It stands proudly in the center of the community. Several women wait patiently with wooden buckets beside them. One by one, they lower long ropes into the cool water below. Fresh water is needed for cooking, washing, caring for animals, and preparing the evening meal. Fetching water is a daily responsibility shared by nearly every household. The quiet conversations around the well fill the air with warmth and friendship. Neighbors exchange news. They speak about the weather, the crops, family members, and small events from nearby villages. In medieval England, news travels through conversation. There are no newspapers, no telephones, only people sharing stories face to face. As you leave the well behind, the pleasant scent of freshly cut oak catches your attention. Under a small wooden shelter, the village carpenter carefully shapes a thick plank with nothing more than a sharp hand plane and a sturdy chisel. Curly wood shavings fall softly onto the ground. Around him rest unfinished stools, doors, carts, and wooden chests. Every item is made by hand. Every piece reflects years of patience and skill. Without craftsmen like him, village life would be far more difficult. As you continue deeper into the village, another familiar sound slowly grows louder. Clang, clang, clang. The steady ringing of iron striking iron echoes through the narrow streets. Bright orange sparks occasionally leap into the air above a nearby workshop. You smile quietly. The village blacksmith is hard at work. His forge is one of the busiest places in the village. You pause outside for a moment, listening to the comforting rhythm of his hammer. Tomorrow's tools, tomorrow's horseshoes, tomorrow's farming equipment are all taking shape inside that glowing workshop. And in the next part, we will continue exploring the village marketplace, the village baker, and finally step inside the fascinating world of the medieval blacksmith.
Welcome back, dear traveler. Leaving the sound of the blacksmith's hammer behind, you continue your slow walk through the winding village streets. The afternoon sun now shines warmly upon the thatched rooftops, and the village feels fully alive. Ahead, a comforting aroma drifts through the air. Freshly baked bread. You follow the delicious scent until you reach the village baker's small stone oven. The heavy wooden door stands open, allowing warmth to spill into the street. Inside, the baker carefully slides several dark loaves from the hot oven using a long wooden peel. The crust is thick and slightly blackened from the fire. These loaves are not soft like modern bread. They are dense, hearty, and made to last for several days. For many families, bread is the most important food they will eat today. As villagers arrive one by one, they greet the baker with friendly smiles. Some exchange grain for fresh bread. Others pay with a few carefully saved coins. Bartering is common. Money is valuable, and many everyday goods are traded instead of purchased. Leaving the bakery, you arrive at the small village square. It is not a grand marketplace like those found in large medieval cities. Instead, it is a quiet gathering place where neighbors meet, exchange news, and occasionally buy or sell simple goods. A traveling merchant has arrived with a small wooden cart. Colorful wool cloth hangs neatly from one side. Small clay pots, iron nails, candles, woven baskets, and simple kitchen tools are displayed for sale. Children gather around with curious eyes, wondering what treasures the stranger has brought from distant towns. Nearby, two elderly villagers sit together on a rough wooden bench. They quietly discuss the weather, the harvest, and news from a nearby manor. In a world without newspapers or telephones, conversations like these are how information travels from village to village. A little farther along the road, several children chase one another between the cottages. Their laughter echoes through the narrow lanes. One little boy proudly rolls a wooden hoop with a stick. Another tosses a handmade cloth ball to his friends. Their toys are simple, but their joy is genuine. Close by, an old woman carefully spins sheep's wool into yarn using a simple wooden spindle. Her hands move with incredible skill, perfected through decades of practice. The wool she spins will later become warm clothing and thick blankets for the coming winter. Every craft has its purpose. Every skill helps the village survive. As the afternoon slowly begins to fade, the pace of life gently changes. Merchants begin packing their goods. The baker sweeps flour from the doorway. Farmers return from the fields carrying wooden tools across tired shoulders. Children are called home by their parents. Smoke rises steadily from cottage chimneys as evening meals begin to cook. The entire village settles into a quieter rhythm. Standing in the center of the square, you take one last look around. This may seem like a small and ordinary place, but every cottage, every workshop, every smiling neighbor, every hard-working craftsman forms part of something much larger, a community built on trust, cooperation, and shared responsibility. Without one another, village life could not continue. As you continue walking, one familiar sound rises above all the others. Clang, clang, clang. The blacksmith is still working. Bright orange sparks dance into the evening air. You pause outside the glowing forge, watching the powerful hammer rise and fall with perfect rhythm. Tomorrow, we will step inside this remarkable workshop and discover why the village blacksmith was one of the most respected and essential people in all of medieval England. Welcome back, dear traveler. The steady ringing of hammer against iron has guided you here. As you step closer, the warmth of the blacksmith's workshop reaches you long before you cross the doorway. Inside, the air feels hotter than anywhere else in the village. A glowing fire burns deep within a stone forge. Bright orange coals radiate intense heat, while tiny sparks rise into the air like glowing fireflies. The smell is unforgettable. Hot iron, burning charcoal, fresh-cut wood, and the faint scent of leather from the tools hanging neatly along the walls. The blacksmith notices your arrival and offers a quiet smile before returning to his work. His face glistens with sweat. Years of hard labor have strengthened his broad shoulders and powerful arms. Every movement is calm and deliberate. There is no wasted effort. On top of the glowing coals rests a long iron bar. Slowly, it changes color, from dull gray to deep red, then bright orange. Only when the metal reaches the perfect temperature does the blacksmith lift it carefully with a pair of heavy iron tongs. He places it upon a large anvil standing firmly in the center of the workshop. Then comes the sound you have heard throughout the village. Clang, clang, clang. Each powerful strike shapes the glowing metal little by little. The rhythm is steady, almost musical. Every blow must land in exactly the right place. Too hard, and the metal may crack. Too soft, and it will not take shape. Years of experience guide every movement. Beside the anvil stand dozens of carefully crafted tools, hammers of different sizes, heavy tongs, sharp chisels, punches, files. Every tool has its own purpose. Many of them were made by the blacksmith himself. Nearby, a young apprentice watches carefully. He pumps the large leather bellows connected to the forge. Each push sends fresh air into the burning charcoal. The fire immediately grows brighter and hotter. Without the apprentice, keeping the forge at the correct temperature would be nearly impossible. The relationship between master and apprentice is built upon patience. Knowledge is passed from one generation to the next, just as it has been for centuries. Around the workshop, unfinished tools rest upon wooden benches, a horseshoe waiting for its final shaping, a new farming hoe, several iron nails, a kitchen knife, simple objects perhaps, yet each one is essential. Without the blacksmith's skill, farmers could not plow their fields. Carpenters could not build carts. Builders could not raise homes. Even the village baker depends upon iron tools made inside this workshop. You begin to understand why the blacksmith is one of the most respected craftsmen in the entire village. His work touches every part of daily life. The glowing forge is far more than a place where metal is shaped. It is where the village itself is strengthened, one careful hammer strike at a time. Welcome back, dear traveler. The steady rhythm of the blacksmith's hammer continues without pause. The glowing iron upon the anvil has already begun to cool. Without hesitation, the blacksmith grips it once more with his heavy tongs and returns it to the heart of the blazing forge. Within moments, the metal glows bright orange again. Patience is the greatest tool inside this workshop. Nothing can be rushed. Iron must be heated, shaped, returned to the fire, then shaped again. The same process is repeated over and over until every curve and every edge is exactly right. Today, the blacksmith is making a new horseshoe. A farmer waits patiently beside the doorway with his strong brown horse. The animal stands quietly, accustomed to the familiar sounds of the forge. When the horseshoe is ready, the blacksmith gently lifts one of the horse's hooves. With remarkable skill, he carefully trims the hoof before fitting the new shoe into place. Small iron nails secure it firmly. The horse barely moves. The blacksmith has performed this task hundreds of times before. Without proper horseshoes, horses would struggle to travel the rough roads of medieval England. Nearby, another customer arrives carrying a broken farming hoe. The wooden handle remains strong, but the iron blade has cracked after years of use. Rather than throwing it away, the blacksmith carefully reheats the damaged metal. Soon, the old tool will be ready for many more seasons of work. In medieval villages, very little is ever wasted. Repairing is almost always better than replacing. Along one wall of the workshop, finished tools wait to be collected. Strong iron nails, kitchen knives, wood chisels, axes, plow blades, door hinges. Every item has been shaped by hand. Every piece reflects patience, precision, and years of experience. Occasionally, the blacksmith is asked to create something far more valuable: a finely balanced hunting knife, a decorative iron lock, or even a sword for a wealthy knight. Such work requires extraordinary skill and many long hours beside the fire. Although weapons are rare in ordinary village life, the knowledge to create them is carefully preserved. As the afternoon slowly gives way to evening, the forge remains one of the busiest places in the village. Farmers arrive with worn tools. Carpenters request new iron fittings. Merchants stop to collect repaired wagon parts before continuing their journeys. The blacksmith greets each visitor with quiet respect. His work serves everyone. The warmth inside the workshop contrasts with the cool evening air beginning to settle outside. Golden sunlight streams through the open doorway, mixing with the orange glow of the forge. For a brief moment, the entire room seems to shine. You stand quietly, watching the master craftsman complete one final piece before setting down his hammer. The familiar ringing slowly fades into silence. Only the gentle crackling of burning charcoal remains. Looking around the workshop one last time, you realize that this humble forge is far more than a place where iron is shaped. It is where the village prepares for tomorrow. Every repaired plow, every sharpened tool, every carefully fitted horseshoe helps another family continue their daily life. As you step back outside, the evening sky glows with warm shades of gold and crimson. Smoke rises peacefully from the cottages beyond. The village is beginning to slow as another hardworking day comes to an end. Tomorrow, we will visit the quiet stone church at the center of the village and discover how faith, tradition, and community shape the lives of ordinary people in medieval England. Welcome back, dear traveler. As the evening light softens across the village, your footsteps carry you toward a place unlike any other. Standing quietly at the center of the village is a small stone church. Its weathered walls have stood for generations. Its bell tower rises above the thatched cottages, visible from nearly every field for miles around. The church is more than a place of worship. It is the heart of the community. Here, villagers gather not only to pray, but also to celebrate, mourn, and share the most important moments of their lives. As you walk along the narrow path, the sound of your footsteps changes. The soft dirt road gives way to uneven stone. Wildflowers bloom beside the path, gently swaying in the evening breeze. The air feels peaceful, almost timeless. The heavy oak door stands slightly open. You gently push it wider. A soft creak echoes through the quiet building. Inside, the temperature is pleasantly cool. Thick stone walls keep the summer heat outside. Only a few narrow windows allow beams of golden sunlight to fall across the worn stone floor. Dust drifts lazily through the quiet air. The peaceful silence is broken only by the distant singing of birds outside. Rows of simple wooden benches face a small stone altar at the front of the church. There are no bright decorations, no grand golden treasures like those found in great cathedrals. This is a humble village church, built for ordinary people. A few candles burn quietly near the altar. Their small flames flicker gently, filling the room with a warm glow. The faint scent of melted beeswax mixes with the cool smell of ancient stone and old timber. It is calming, comforting. Along one wall hangs a simple wooden cross. Nearby, faded paintings tell stories from the Bible. Many villagers cannot read, so these pictures help teach lessons of faith and hope. Every image has meaning. Every carving tells a story. Near the entrance, an elderly priest quietly arranges prayer books upon a small wooden table. He smiles warmly as a young family enters the church. The children remove their simple wool caps before sitting quietly beside their parents. Respect fills every corner of the building. Outside these walls, life is often filled with uncertainty. Poor harvests, harsh winters, illness. Yet inside the church, many villagers find comfort, hope, and peace. For a little while, the worries of everyday life seem to grow lighter. As you quietly take a seat near the back of the church, the evening sunlight continues to pour gently through the narrow windows. The peaceful atmosphere invites silence, reflection, and gratitude. Here, in this small stone building, generations of medieval villagers have prayed together for hundreds of years. Their voices may be gone, but their quiet faith still seems to linger within these ancient walls. End of part 1. Welcome back, dear traveler. You remain seated quietly inside the peaceful stone church. The cool air and gentle silence invite you to slow your thoughts. Outside, the busy sounds of the village seem far away. For a few precious moments, the world feels wonderfully still. Then, a deep church bell begins to ring. Its rich sound rolls across the rooftops and open fields beyond the village. Farmers working in the distance pause for a moment. Children stop their games. Even the birds seem to fall silent as the bell echoes through the countryside. For generations, this bell has marked the rhythm of village life. It announces morning prayers, Sunday worship, festivals, weddings, and sadly, funerals. Every villager knows its familiar voice. As the final note fades, more villagers quietly enter the church. Families take their places on the simple wooden benches. An elderly couple sits near the front. A young mother gently rocks her sleeping baby. Children sit beside their parents, unusually quiet inside the sacred building. Soon, the village priest steps toward the stone altar. His simple robes move softly as he begins the evening prayers. His calm voice fills the church. Many of the villagers cannot read. Instead, they listen carefully to every word. The church is not only a place of worship, it is also where people learn, find guidance, and seek comfort during difficult times. Looking around, you notice the worn stone floor beneath your feet. Thousands of footsteps have passed across these stones over many generations. Every wedding celebration, every baptism, every farewell. Each has left an invisible mark upon this peaceful place. Candles continue to flicker gently near the altar. Their warm glow dances across the ancient walls. Outside, the sunlight slowly fades into soft shades of orange and gold. The day is coming to an end. The priest finishes the final prayer. For a few quiet moments, no one moves. The silence itself feels meaningful. Then, one by one, the villagers rise from their benches. They greet one another with warm smiles and quiet words before stepping outside into the cool evening air. As you leave the church, you pause beside the small churchyard. Ancient stone graves rest peacefully beneath tall oak trees. Wildflowers bloom gently between them. It is a place of remembrance, a reminder that every generation has lived, worked, hoped, and prayed in this very village. The church bell rings once more as the first evening stars begin to appear above the rooftops. Lanterns glow softly inside nearby cottages. The comforting smell of evening meals drifts through the cool air. The village slowly settles into another peaceful night. Tomorrow, we will gather around the warm hearth once again and discover how medieval families spent their evenings together after a long day of work, sharing stories, repairing clothes, and preparing for another sunrise. End of Chapter 7, Part 2. Welcome back, dear traveler. The sun has now disappeared beyond the rolling hills. A soft blue twilight settles gently over the village. One by one, warm lights begin to glow behind the tiny windows of the thatched cottages. Smoke rises quietly from the chimneys, disappearing into the cool evening sky. The day's hard work is finally over. You walk back toward the familiar cottage where the family has already returned from the fields. The heavy wooden door opens with a gentle creak. A wave of comforting warmth greets you. The fire in the hearth burns brightly once again, filling the small room with soft orange light. The dancing flames cast gentle shadows across the timber walls. Everything feels calm, peaceful, safe. The family slowly removes their heavy wool cloaks and muddy boots after a long day of labor. Wooden farming tools are carefully placed beside the doorway, ready for tomorrow's work. Nothing is thrown carelessly aside. Every tool is valuable. Every possession has been earned through hard work. The mother hangs a black iron cooking pot above the glowing fire. Soon, the comforting smell of vegetable stew begins to fill the cottage. Onions, leeks, carrots, barley, fresh herbs gathered from the garden. The simple ingredients slowly simmer together. The aroma is warm and inviting. Nearby, a loaf of dark bread rests upon the wooden table beside a small piece of hard cheese. Tonight's meal is modest, yet after a long day in the fields, it feels like a feast. The father quietly sharpens a small iron knife using a smooth whetstone. Each slow movement prepares the tool for another day's work. Across the room, the eldest daughter carefully mends a tear in a wool tunic using a bone needle and coarse linen thread. Clothing is precious. Nothing is thrown away if it can still be repaired. The younger children sit close to the fire. One gently carves a small toy from a piece of wood. Another watches the flames dance while listening to the soft crackling of burning oak logs. There are no books to read, no glowing screens, no distractions. Only the comforting company of family gathered together after another successful day. Outside, the evening grows cooler. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves beyond the cottage walls. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls from the edge of the forest. The village has become wonderfully quiet. Inside the cottage, the stew is finally ready. The mother carefully ladles the warm meal into simple clay bowls. Steam rises gently into the firelit room. The family gathers around the rough wooden table once more. For a little while, work is forgotten. The worries of tomorrow can wait. Tonight, there is warmth, food, and the quiet comfort of being together beneath one humble roof. Welcome back, dear traveler. The evening meal has been shared. The simple bowls of warm stew are now nearly empty. Only a few pieces of dark bread remain upon the rough wooden table. The family lingers beside the glowing hearth, enjoying the quiet comfort that follows a long day of honest work. Outside, darkness has settled gently across the village. The last traces of sunlight have disappeared beyond the distant hills. Above the cottage, Countless stars slowly begin to appear in the clear medieval sky. With no electric lights to dim their beauty, the night feels endless. The stars shine with remarkable brilliance. Inside, the fire crackles softly. Its warm orange glow dances across the timber walls and low ceiling. The youngest children move closer to the hearth, wrapping themselves in thick wool blankets. Their tired eyes grow heavier with every passing minute. The father leans back on his wooden stool. In a calm, gentle voice, he begins telling an old village story. Perhaps it is a tale passed down by his own grandfather. A story about a brave traveler, a mysterious forest, or a wise king whose kindness brought peace to the land. The children listen quietly. These stories are more than entertainment. They carry lessons about courage, honesty, patience, and hope. Long before books become common, stories are how history and wisdom are remembered. Nearby, the mother continues her sewing. The soft sound of linen thread passing through wool fills the quiet room. Every careful stitch helps the clothing survive another cold season. Beside her, the eldest son carefully repairs the wooden handle of a farming tool. Tomorrow's work begins long before sunrise. Preparation never truly ends. The family cat curls peacefully beside the warmth of the hearth. Outside, a cool wind whispers through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls once more. The village has fallen almost completely silent. One by one, candles are gently extinguished. Only the glowing fire remains. The father carefully places another small log upon the embers. It settles with a gentle crackle, before tiny sparks drift upward through the chimney. Soon, it is time to sleep. The wooden bowls are stacked neatly. The table is cleared. Blankets are spread across simple, straw-filled beds. There are no soft mattresses, no feather pillows for ordinary families. Yet after a day of hard work, even the simplest bed offers welcome comfort. You lie down beside the slowly fading fire. The warmth of the hearth reaches you one last time. Your eyelids grow heavy. The peaceful sounds of the cottage surround you. The quiet breathing of the family. The gentle crackling of the dying embers. The soft whisper of the night wind outside. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise, another day in medieval England. But for now, the village sleeps peacefully beneath a sky filled with countless stars. And as you slowly drift into sleep, you carry with you the simple beauty of a life lived close to family, nature, and tradition. In the next chapter, we will rise before dawn once again and discover how medieval villagers prepared for the bustling weekly market, where farmers, craftsmen, and merchants came together from miles around. Welcome back, dear traveler. The first light of dawn has only just begun to brighten the eastern sky. A cool morning mist still covers the fields and village paths. Today is not an ordinary day. Today is market day. Once every week, the quiet village transforms into a lively meeting place. Farmers, craftsmen, merchants, and travelers journey from nearby villages to trade their goods. As you step outside the cottage, you notice the excitement already filling the air. The family has risen even earlier than usual. Fresh vegetables are carefully packed into woven baskets. A few wheels of homemade cheese are wrapped in clean linen cloth. Bundles of herbs are tied neatly with thin pieces of rope. Nothing has been prepared carelessly. Every item represents many days of hard work. Outside, a sturdy wooden cart waits beside the road. The father gently loads the baskets onto the back, while the eldest son secures them with thick hemp rope. Nearby, the family's faithful ox patiently waits to pull the heavy cart toward the market. Its breath forms small clouds in the cool morning air. Soon, other villagers begin joining the journey. One farmer carries sacks of barley. Another brings fresh eggs packed carefully in straw. A potter balances stacks of clay bowls inside his cart. The village carpenter loads several newly finished stools and wooden buckets. Everyone hopes for a successful day of trading. The narrow country road slowly fills with people. Some walk, others ride small horses. Many pull simple wooden carts behind them. The peaceful countryside comes alive with friendly greetings and cheerful conversation. As the rising sun burns away the morning mist, you continue along the winding road. In the distance, you begin hearing something unusual. Many voices speaking at once, the rumble of wagon wheels, the occasional laugh of children. Even before the market comes into view, you can already hear its energy. Soon, colorful tents begin appearing beyond the trees. Small cloth canopies flutter gently in the morning breeze. Wooden stalls line the edges of an open field. Merchants are still arranging their goods while customers slowly begin arriving. The marketplace is waking up. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the cool air. Nearby, someone is roasting meat over an open fire. Another merchant sells sweet honey collected from village beehives. The mixture of scents fills the morning with warmth and anticipation. Looking around, you realize this market is more than a place to buy and sell. It is where news travels, where friendships grow, where strangers become neighbors. People from many villages gather here, sharing stories from places far beyond the quiet countryside. For a few hours each week, the medieval world feels much larger, and your peaceful journey has only just begun. Welcome back, dear traveler. The marketplace is now fully awake. The quiet field that greeted the sunrise has transformed into a lively gathering place. Every path between the wooden stalls is filled with people. Farmers greet old friends with warm smiles. Merchants call softly to passing customers. Children weave happily through the crowd, their curious eyes drawn toward every colorful display. You wander slowly between the stalls. One merchant carefully arranges bright red apples, fresh onions, carrots, and bundles of fragrant herbs upon a rough wooden table. Nearby, another sells large wheels of cheese wrapped in linen cloth. The rich smell of fresh dairy fills the cool morning air. A baker proudly displays rows of dark rye bread, still warm from the stone oven. Steam rises gently from each loaf. Many villagers stop to buy bread before continuing through the market. Not far away, the blacksmith has brought a fine collection of his newest work: iron horseshoes, sharp kitchen knives, strong nails, axes, and freshly repaired farming tools. Several farmers gather around, carefully examining each item before making their choice. Every tool is expected to last for many years. Quality matters far more than speed. Across the marketplace, the potter displays rows of beautiful clay bowls, jugs, and cooking pots. The warm sunlight reflects softly from their smooth surfaces. A young couple carefully chooses a new water jug, knowing it may serve their family for generations. Nearby, a cloth merchant unrolls bolts of wool and linen in shades of brown, gray, deep green, and faded blue. Fine cloth is expensive, but strong clothing is essential for everyday life. Some villagers trade eggs, butter, or vegetables instead of using coins. Bartering remains a common part of market day. Not every family has enough money, but nearly everyone has something valuable to exchange. As you continue exploring, you notice a small crowd gathered around a traveling storyteller. Children sit quietly upon the grass while adults stand nearby, smiling as the traveler tells tales of distant castles, brave knights, mysterious forests, and bustling cities far beyond the village. For many people here, these stories are their only glimpse of the wider world. The marketplace is filled not only with goods, but with ideas, news, and imagination. By early afternoon, many baskets have become lighter. Carts that arrived full now carry only a few remaining goods. Merchants begin packing away what has not been sold. Neighbors say their goodbyes. Promises are made to meet again next market day. The lively voices slowly fade as families begin the journey home. You take one final look across the peaceful marketplace. Only a few hours ago, this field was quiet. Now it has become the center of trade, friendship, and community. As you follow the dusty road back toward the village, the afternoon sun shines warmly upon the countryside once more. The wooden cart rolls gently behind the patient ox. The family returns home with a few new supplies, fresh stories, and grateful hearts. Tomorrow, We will leave the busy marketplace behind and take a peaceful walk into the surrounding forests, where medieval villagers gathered firewood, searched for wild berries, and lived alongside the quiet beauty of nature.